What are your notes to the Neville Goddard Deluxe collection? At your command. It is not stated, I, Jesus, am the door, I, Jesus, am the way, nor is it said, whom do you say that I, Jesus, am? It is clearly stated, I am the way. The awareness of being is the door through which the manifestations of life pass into the world of form. If you, the reader, will give up all of your former beliefs in a God apart from yourself and claim God as your awareness of being, as Jesus and the prophets did, you will transform your world with the realization that I and my Father am one. If you are dissatisfied with your present expression in life, the only way to change it is to take your attention away from that which seems so real to you and rise in consciousness to that which you desire to be. Prayers, to be successful, must be claiming rather than begging. So if you would pray for riches, turn from your picture of poverty by denying the very evidence of your senses and assume the nature of being wealthy. Do not question the how of these things appearing, for no man knows that way. That is, no manifestation knows how the things desired will appear. Remember, he said, I am the way. Not I, John Smith, am the way, but I am. The awareness of being is the way through which the thing shall come. Therefore, get the consciousness first, and the thing is compelled to appear. You are told, seek you first the kingdom of heaven, and all things shall be added unto you. Get first the consciousness of the things that you are seeking, and leave the things alone. Mary is the awareness of being that ever remains virgin, no matter how many desires it gives birth to. For instance, it is said of Mary, whom you now know to be yourself, that she knew not a man, yet she conceived. That is, you, John Smith, have now reason to believe that that which you now desire is possible, but having discovered your awareness of being to be God, you make this awareness your husband and conceive a man-child, manifestation of the Lord. Secrecy is the first law to be observed in realizing your desire. Becoming one with your desire to the point of embodying or giving birth to your desire. Chapter 2, in the beginning was the Word. It is the beginning of an urge, a desire. The Word is the desire swimming around in your consciousness, seeking embodiment. Things live only as long as I am aware of being them. The word or desire must be fixed or united with consciousness to give it reality. The only way to change your expressions of life is to change your consciousness, for consciousness is the reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. Your environment and all within it reflects that which you are in consciousness. As long as you continue to be that in consciousness, so long will you continue to outpicture it in your world. Knowing this, begin to revalue yourself. Man has placed too little value upon himself. World is at your command. Awakened imagination and the search. Intro. The power which makes the achievement of aims, the attainment of desires, inevitable. Imagination, the real and eternal world of which this vegetable universe is but a faint shadow. What is the life of man but art and science? Imagination is more important than knowledge. Albert Einstein. Chapter 1, who is your imagination? Imagination is the very gateway of reality. Man, said Blake, is either the ark of God or a phantom of the earth and of the water. The abundant life that Christ promised us is ours to experience now, but not until we have the sense of Christ as our imagination can we experience it. The mystery hid from the ages, Christ in you, the hope of glory, is your imagination. Let the weak man say, I am strong, Joel 3:10. Suppose I am capable of acting with continuous imagination. That is, suppose I am capable of sustaining the feeling of my wish fulfilled. Will my assumption harden into fact? Chapter 2, sealed instructions. The first power that meets us at the threshold of the soul's domain is the power of imagination. Dr. Franz Hartmann. That which is manifested. That which has been or shall be is unmanifested, but not dead. For soul, the eternal activity of God, animates all things. But one thing I do, forgetting the things which are behind and stretching forward to the things which are before, I press on toward the goal. Chapter 3, Highways of the Inner World. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them because they are spiritually discerned. Corinthians 2:14. Chapter 4, the pruning shears of revision. Never will he say caterpillars. He'll say there's a lot of butterflies as it is to be on our cabbages pure. He won't say it's winter. He'll say summer sleeping, and there's no bud little enough nor sad colored enough for Kester, nor to calumniate the beginnings of the blow. Mary Webb in Precious Bane. What we are, that only can we see. Emerson. Revision is of greatest importance when the motive is to change oneself, when there is a sincere desire to be something different, when the longing is to awaken the ideal active spirit of forgiveness. Without imagination, man remains a being of sin. To go forward to imagination is to forgive. Forgiveness is the life of the imagination. The art of living is the art of forgiving. Chapter 5, the coin of heaven. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. Romans 14:5. Tongue setteth on fire the course of nature. James 3:6. Chapter 6, it is within. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Luke 17:21. Chapter 7, creation is finished. I am the beginning and the end. There is nothing to come that has not been and is. Ecclesiastes 3:15. The search. Once in an idle interval at sea, I meditated on the perfect state and wondered what I would be were I of too pure eyes to behold iniquity, if to me all things were pure and were I without condemnation. As soon as we succeed in transforming ourselves, the world will melt magically before our eyes and reshape itself in harmony with that which our transformation affirms. Two other visions I will tell you because they bear out the truth of my assertion that we, by intensity of love and hate, become what we contemplate. Once with closed eyes, made radiant from brooding, I meditated on the eternal question, who am I? And felt myself gradually dissolve into a shoreless sea of vibrant light, imagination passing beyond all fear of death. In this state, nothing existed by myself, but myself, a boundless ocean of liquid light. Never have I felt more intimate with being. What we imagine that we are. By our imagination, we have created the stream of life, and by our imagination, we will re-enter the eternal world of light, becoming that which we were before we imagined the world. To attempt to change the world before we change our concept of ourselves is to struggle against the nature of things. There can be no outer change until there is first an inner change, as within, so without. Everything we do unaccompanied by a change of consciousness is but futile readjustment of surfaces. However we toil or struggle, we can receive no more than our subconscious assumptions affirm. To protest against anything which happens to us is to protest against the law of our being and our rulership over our own destiny. The next book is Feeling is the Secret. Intro. This book is concerned with the art of realizing your desire. Consequently, I have purposely omitted all arguments and testimonials and simply challenged the open-minded reader to practice the law of consciousness as revealed in this book. Chapter 1, Law and its Operation. Consciousness is the one and only reality, not figuratively, but actually. Ideas are impressed on the subconscious through the medium of feeling. No idea can be impressed on the subconscious until it is felt, but once felt, be it good, bad, or indifferent, it must be expressed. Feeling is the one and only medium through which ideas are conveyed to the subconscious. Control of your feeling is all important to a full and happy life. The dominant of two feelings is the one expressed. I am healthy is a stronger feeling than I will be healthy. To feel I will be is to confess I am not. I am is stronger than I am not. What you feel you are always dominates what you feel you would like to be. Therefore, to be realized, the wish must be felt as a state that is rather than a state that is not. Sensation precedes manifestation, as is the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. Be careful of your moods and feelings, for there is an unbroken connection between your feelings and your visible world. Think feelingly only of the state you desire to realize. Feeling the reality of the state sought and living and acting on that conviction is the way of all seeming miracles. Chapter 2, Sleep. Sleep, the life that occupies 1/3 of our stay on earth, is the natural door into the subconscious. Chapter 3, Prayer. Prayer, like sleep, is also an entrance into the subconscious. Prayer is an illusion of sleep which diminishes the impression of the outer world and renders the mind more receptive to suggestion from within. The mind in prayer is in a state of relaxation and receptivity akin to the feeling attained just before dropping off to sleep. Prayer is not so much what you ask for as how you prepare for its reception. Feeling. Get into the spirit of the state desired by assuming the feeling that would be yours were you already the one you want to be. As you capture the feeling of the state sought, you are relieved of all effort to make it so, for it's already so. There is a definite feeling associated with every idea in the mind of man. Capture the feeling associated with your realized wish by assuming the feeling that would be yours were you already in possession of the thing you desire, and your wish will objectify itself. Faith is feeling. The next book, Freedom for All. Chapter 1, The Oneness of God. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. As within, so without. The secret of feeling, or the calling of the invisible into visible states, is beautifully told in the story of Isaac blessing his second son Jacob by the belief based solely upon feeling that he was blessing his first son Esau. Knowing the law of self-expression, the law by which the invisible is made visible, is not enough. It must be applied, and this is the method of application. First, send your first son Esau your present objectified world or problem hunting. This is accomplished simply by closing your eyes and taking your attention away from the objectified limitations. Second, with your eyes still closed and your attention removed from the world around you, consciously fix the natural time and place for the realization of your desire. Close your eyes and feel that the very place where you are is the place desired. Feel and sense the reality of it until you are consciously impressed with this fact, for your knowledge of this fact is based solely on your subjective sensing. Third, in the absence of Esau, the problem, and with the natural time-space established, you invite Jacob, the solution, to come and fill this space, to come and supplant his brother. In your imagination, see the thing desired. Come close, my son, that I may feel you. Feel the nearness of it. Feel it to be in your immediate presence. Feel the reality and solidity of it. Feel it and see it naturally placed in the room in which you are seated. Feel the thrill of actual accomplishment and the joy of possession. Even though your problems appear fixed and real, you have felt the subjective psychological state to be real to the point of receiving the thrill of that reality. You have experienced the secret of creation, for you have felt the reality of that subjective. Here are a few practical examples. of this drama. First, the blessing or making a thing real. Second, the blessing or the making of a place real. Third, the blessing or making real of a point in time. Mentally separating yourself from the objective world and attaching yourself through the secret of feeling to the subjective world is the function of the sixth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Vau, or the 6 days of work. There can be no mental rest until a conscious impression is made. Having discovered your Savior, the next step in this great drama of the resurrection is to release Barbaros, the robber, your present concept of yourself, and to crucify your Savior or fix the consciousness of being or having that which would save you. Another definition of the two birds would be the first, your present problem, regardless of its nature, and the second, the solution to that problem. For example, if you were sick, good health would be the solution. If you were in debt, freedom from debt would be the solution. You kill or eliminate the first bird, your problem, by removing your attention from it. Into this blood, your consciousness, you dip the live bird, the solution, or that which heretofore you desired to be or possess. Chapter 7, Desire the Word of God. So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the nature of your desires. Desires are expressed when the man who has conceived them assumes the attitude of mind that would be his if the state desired were already expressed. Always hear and accept as true of others that which you would desire for yourself. In so doing, you are building heaven on earth. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you is based upon this law. Chapter 8, Faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. A grain of mustard seed is truly the measure of faith necessary to accomplish your every objective. But like the mustard seed, you too must lose yourself in the consciousness of being only the thing desired. Faith is feeling or living in the consciousness of being the thing desired. How would you feel if you were that which you desire to be? Where the mood, this feeling that would be yours if you were already that which you desire to be. And in a little while, you will be sealed in the belief that you are. Press upon your consciousness the fact that you actually heard him and that he told you what you wanted to hear. Feel the thrill of having heard. Imagine that you hear him tell you that you are and have that which you desire to be and to have. With your desire properly defined, you assume an attitude of listening. Imagine you are hearing the voice of a friend, then make him tell you. Imagine he is telling you how lucky and fortunate you are to have fully realized your desire. This book has been written to show you how to achieve your objectives, apply the principle expressed herein, and all the inhabitants of earth cannot stop you from realizing your desires. The next book, He Breaks the Shell. Act 1. It is very difficult for man to change his understanding of the meaning of an event once old accepted interpretations have become rigidly fixed in his mind. But the 4 acts of God which veil his image appear in a quite different light in prospect from what they really are seen to be in retrospect. The resurrection is God's first act in the unveiling of his image. It is fulfilled in a way man could never have guessed by an awakening in his skull, not at the end of his history, but within his history. Resurrection is an event happening within the earthly life of man. Resurrection is an individual experience, an awakening in one's own skull, followed instantly by a supernatural birth from his skull, a privileged birth in a new creation. This is effected by the grace of God alone, and only of such an awakening does the New Testament use the term the resurrection. All other men, apart from the resurrected, are at death, restored to life, only to die again. Act 2. The second mighty act unveils the mystery of the fatherhood and brotherhood of man. Man finds David of biblical fame and discovers that David's nature and mission are spiritual, not physical or historical. Act 3, the third mighty act unveils God's image is of twofold nature. You are God's temple and God's spirit dwells in you. The fourth and final act is an expression of God's satisfaction with his work. And God saw everything that had been made, and behold, it was very good. Conclusion, the resurrection is a unique personal experience. It is by definition the resurrection of the Christ. Though the resurrection itself is nowhere described in scriptures, it represents a central point of the Christian faith. It marks the division between this age and that age in which even the law of death is broken, where one does not die anymore, when all are equal to angels, sons no longer of this world, but of that world of God and of the resurrection. It is a new creation. The next book, I Know My Father. Chapter 1, I Am. My Father is he whom men call God, but I know my Father, and men know not their God. My Father and your Father are one. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. I and my Father are one. Chapter 2, I come with a sword. Before you can enter into that peace which passes all understanding, you must first be slain of all the illusions that now enslave you, the illusions of divisions. Freedom is not won by the sway of the brow. You will be free only as you follow his example and loose your problem by not identifying yourself with it. Chapter 3, the foundation stone. I am God, I am the Lord, I am hath sent me, the man Moses unto you. As to the location of God, you are told the kingdom of God is within you. These two answers identify God as your awareness of being and locates him where you are aware of being. To be conscious of an urge or desire is to have conceived. To believe by feeling yourself to be the thing desired is to be crucified upon the form of the thing felt. A nation that feels itself to be imprisoned will automatically create a dictator. You could no more rub out a tyrant by destroying him than you can your reflection by destroying the mirror. Ask yourself the simple question, how would I feel if I were free? The very moment you sincerely ask this question, the answer comes. The feeling or thrill that comes to one in response to his self-questioning is the father state of consciousness or foundation stone from which will come the thing felt. When you ask yourself the question, how would I feel if my desire were this moment realized? The automatic reply is so new that you feel that is yours, that it is not true. Chapter 4, the I'm impression. To be impressed is to be I'm pressed, first person, present tense. Your awareness is the savior that is with you always. To claim that I shall have oil, joy, is to convince that I have empty measures, which consciousness of lack will produce lack. God, your awareness, is no respecter of persons and can only express that with which it is impressed. Chapter 5, he who has. To be aware of being or having anything is to be or have that which you are aware of being. You cannot express that which you are not conscious of being. Chapter 6, circumcision. Circumcision is the operation which removes the veil that hides the head of creation. The physical act has nothing to do with the spiritual act. To remove this last veil, you must drop your conception of yourself as man by knowing yourself just to be. Chapter 7, crucifixion and resurrection. The day man feels I am free, I am wealthy, I am strong, I am, is touched by these qualities or virtues, and the results of such touching will be seen in the birth and resurrection of the qualities felt. Chapter 8, no other God. Your beliefs in the potency of things are the thieves that rob you. There is only one power, one savior, I am he. It is your belief in the thing and not the thing itself that aids you. Consciousness dwells within that which it is conscious of being. I am, man is the Lord and his temple, knowing that the consciousness of wealth produces wealth as the consciousness of poverty produces poverty. Chapter 9, thy will be done. Your claim that you are now that which you want to be will remove the veil of human darkness with its I will be and reveal your perfect claim, I am that. God's will was expressed in the words of the widow, it is well. Man's will would have been, it shall be well. To state I shall be well is to say I am ill. Thus, the resignation of Jesus, who made himself equal with God, was turning from the recognition of lack, which the future indicates with I shall be, to the recognition of supply by claiming I am that. Now you will see the wisdom of the words of the prophet when he stated, let the weak say I am strong, Joel 3:10. Instead of fighting against the evidence of the senses, you simply claim yourself to be that which you desire to be. Chapter 10, Be ears that hear. For thousands of years, man has been told, I am the life and light of the world. No manifestation cometh unto me, save I draw it. But man will not believe it. He prefers to believe in causes outside of himself. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. Next book, Out of This World. Chapter 1, Thinking Fourth Dimensionally. Are we able to alter our future? My object in writing these pages is to indicate possibilities inherent in man to show that man can alter his future. The most remarkable feature of man's future is its flexibility. It is determined by his attitudes rather than by his acts. We have but to concentrate on the state desired in order to see it. Desires always have some personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense is the desire. The key to progress in life and to the fulfillment of dreams lies in ready obedience to its voice. The first step in changing the future is desire. That is, define your objective. Know definitely what you want. Secondly, construct an event which you believe you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire, an event which implies fulfillment of your desire, something that will have the action of self-predominant. Thirdly, immobilize the physical body and induce a condition akin to sleep. Lie in a bed or relax in a chair and imagine you are sleepy. Then with eyelids closed and your attention focused on the action you intend to experience in imagination, mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while you are actually performing the action here and now. For example, suppose your desired promotion in office. Being congratulated would be an event you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire. Having selected this action as the one you will experience in imagination, mobilize the physical body and induce a state akin to sleep, a drowsy state, but one in which you're still able to control the direction of your thoughts, a state in which you were attentive without effort. Now imagine that a friend is standing before you. Put your imaginary hand into his. First, feel it to be solid and real. Then carry out an imaginary conversation with him in harmony with the action. Do not visualize yourself at a distance and point of space and at a distance and point of time being congratulations on your good fortune. Instead, make elsewhere here and the future now. We must, with the minimum of effort, permeate the mind with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The most effective way to embody a desire is to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and then, in a relaxed and sleepy state, repeat over and over again, like a lullaby, any short phrase which implies fulfillment of our desires, such as thank you, as though we addressed a higher power for having done it for us. Chapter 2, Assumptions Become Facts. If you assume that you are what you want to be, your desire is fulfilled, and in fulfillment, all longing is neutralized. You cannot continue desiring what you have already realized. The conceiver and his conception are one. Therefore, that which you conceive yourself to be can never be so far off as even to be near, for nearness implies separation. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. If thou canst believe, being is the substance of things hoped, the evidence of things not yet seen. Define your objective. Know definitively what you want. Construct an event which you believe you will encounter following the fulfillment of your desire, something which will have the action of self-predominant, an event which implies the fulfillment of your desire, and mobilize the physical body and induce a state of consciousness akin to sleepy. Then mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action, imagining all the while that you are actually performing the action here and now so that you experience in imagination what you would experience in the flesh, were you now to realize your goal. Experience has convinced me that this is the perfect way to achieve any goal. Chapter 3, Power of Imagination. In meditation, when the brain grows luminous, I find my imagination endowed with the magnetic power to attract to me whatsoever I desire. Desire is the power imagination uses to fashion life about me as I fashion it within myself. Chapter 4, no one to change but self. Because life molds the outer world to reflect the inner arrangement of our minds, there is no way of bringing about the outer perfection we seek other than by transformation of ourselves. The circumstances of my life are too closely related to my conception of myself not to have been formed by my own spirit from some dimensionally larger storehouse of my being. If there is pain to me in these happenings, I should look within for the cause, for I am moved here and there and made to live in a world in harmony with my concept of myself. Art of believing. The law of reversibility, chapter 1. This law explains why faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and why he calleth things that are not seen as though they were, and things that were not seen become seen. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continue feeling that it is fulfilled until that which you feel objectifies itself. If a physical fact can produce a psychological state can produce a physical fact. If the effect A can be produced by the cause B, then inversely, the effect B can be produced by the cause A. Therefore, I say unto you, what things soever you desire, when ye pray, believe that ye have received them, and ye shall have them. Chapter 2, dual nature of consciousness. A clear concept of the dual nature of man's consciousness must be the basis of all true prayer. Consciousness includes a subconscious as well as a conscious part. The infinitely greater part of consciousness lies below the sphere of objective consciousness. The subconscious is the most important part of consciousness. It is the cause of voluntary action. Imagination and Faith, chapter 3. It is not what you want that you attract what you believe to be true. Confident expectation of a state is the most potent means of bringing it about. Chapter 4, controlled reverie. Then imagine that he is telling you what you want to hear. If you want to send him words of health and wealth, then imagine that he is telling you, I've never felt better and I've never had more. And mentally tell him of your joy in witnessing his good fortune. Imagine that you see and hear his joy. Chapter 5, law of thought transmission. You have nothing to do but convince yourself of the truth of that which you desire to see manifested. Therefore, to give is to receive. You cannot give what you do not have, and you have only what you believe. Chapter 7, the greatest prayer. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, and then you believe it to be true. Every dream could be realized by those self-disciplined enough to believe it. Next book, Resurrection, a Confession of Faith. He who is united to the Lord becomes one spirit with him. I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. He who has seen me has seen the Father. The next book, Seed Time and Harvest. Chapter 2, the four mighty ones. The four mighty ones constitute the selfhood of man, or God in man. There are four mighty ones in every man, but these four mighty ones are not four separate beings, separated one from the other as are the fingers of his hand. The four mighty ones are four different aspects of his mind and differ from one another in function and character without being four separate selves inhabiting one man's body. The four mighty ones may be equated with the four Hebrew characters Yud, He, Wa, He. from right to left, which form the four-letter mystery name of the creative power, Yahweh, or even occasionally Jehovah. Chapter 3, the gift of faith. If we search the scriptures, we will become aware of a far deeper meaning in the above quotation. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and in his offerings, but unto Cain and to offering in his offerings, he had no respect. The Lord is no other than your own consciousness. Say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. I am is the self-definition of the Lord. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dream and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected in common hours. Thoreau. Chapter 5, the game of life. Inner conversation of the man struggling to get money only proves his lack of money. In his ignorance of the power of the word, he is building barriers in the way of the attainment of his goal. He has his eye on the competition rather than on the goal itself. Knowledge of what to do is the water of life, but doing it is the blood of the Savior. Next book, The Law and the Promise. Chapter 1, the law. Imagining creates reality. Man is all imagination. God is man and exists in us, and we in him. The eternal body of man is the imagination, that is, himself. The purpose of the first portion of this book is to show, through actual true stories, how imagining creates reality. Science progresses by way of hypothesis, tentatively tested and afterwards accepted or rejected according to the facts of experience. The claim that imagining creates reality needs no more consideration than is allowed by science. It proves itself in performance. You must abandon yourself mentally to your wish fulfilled in your love for that state, and in so doing, live in the new state and no more in the old state. You can't commit yourself to what you do not love, so the spirit of self-commission is faith plus love. Faith is believing what is unbelievable. Commit yourself to the feeling of the wish fulfilled in faith that this act of self-commission will become a reality, and it must become a reality because imagining creates reality. There is no fiction. If an imaginable activity can produce a physical effect, our physical world must be essentially imaginable. To prove this would require merely that we observe our imagined activities and watch to see whether or not they produce corresponding external events. If they do, then we must conclude that there is no fiction. Today's imaginable drama fiction becomes tomorrow's fact. Visionary fancy. The images of our imagination are the realities of which any physical manifestation is only a shadow. If we are faithful to vision, the image will create for itself the only physical manifestation of itself it has a right to make. We speak of the reality of a thing when we mean its material substance. That is exactly what imaginist means by its unreality or shadow. Imagining is spiritual sensation. Moods. Men regard their moods far too much as effects and not sufficiently as causes. Moods are imaginable activities without which no creation is possible. We say we are happy because we have achieved our goal. We do not realize that the process works equally well in the reverse direction, that we shall achieve our goal because we have assumed the happy feeling of the wish fulfilled. We must be the state to experience the state. The center of conscious imagining can be shifted, and what are now mere wishes, imaginable activities, keyed low, brought into penetrable focus and entered. Entrance commits us to the state. The possibilities of such shifting of the center of imagining are startling. The activities concerned are psychical throughout. Enter into. Chapter 9, the secret of creation is a secret of imagining, first desiring and then assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled until the dream of fancy, the void outside existence is entered and englobes itself and becomes a womb, a dwelling place and garden, fruitly 70-fold. What the world looks like depends entirely on where man is when he makes his observation. All man, being all imagination, must be where he is in imagination. Chapter 10, things which do not appear. To refuse to recognize the creative power of man's invisible, imaginable activity is too great to be argued with. Man, through his imaginable activity, literally calls into existence the things that do not exist. A desire is an awareness of something we lack or need to make life more enjoyable. Desires always have some personal gain in view. The greater the anticipated gain, the more intense the desire. What's done flows from what's imagined. Outward forms reveal the imaginings of man. Example. I run a small business solely owned, and a few years ago, it seemed that my venture would end in failure for some months. Sales had fallen steadily, and I found myself in a financial jam along with thousands of other small businessmen as this period spanned one of our country's minor recessions. I was badly in debt and needed at least $3,000 almost immediately. My auditors advised me to close my doors and try to salvage what I could. Instead, I turned to my imagination. I imagined my office receiving $4,000 unexpectedly in remittances due. This money would have to come from new orders as my accounts receivable were practically non-existent. But this seemed far-fetched, as I hadn't received this much in sales during the last 4 months or more. Nevertheless, I kept my imaginable picture of receiving this amount of money steadily before me for 3 days. Early the fourth morning, a customer I had not heard from in months called me on the telephone, asked me to come and see him personally. I was to bring a quotation previously given him for machinery needed by his factory. The quotation was months old, but I dug it out of my files and lost no time in arriving at his office that day. I wrote out the order, which he signed, but I saw no immediate help for me in the transaction, as the equipment he wanted would take from 4 to 6 months for factory delivery. And of course, my customer did not have to pay for it until delivered. I thanked him for the offer and rose to leave. He stopped me at the door and handed me a check for a little over $4,000, saying, I want to pay for the merchandise now in advance for tax purposes. You don't mind? No, I didn't mind. I realized what had happened the moment I took that check into my hands. Within 3 days, my imaginable act had done for me what I hadn't been able to do in months of desperate financial shuffling. I know now that imagination could have brought $40,000 into my business just as easily as $4,000. The creative moment. Whenever we imagine things as they ought to be rather than as they seem to be is the moment. For in that moment, the spiritual man's work is done, and all the great events of time stand forth to mold a world in harmony with that moment's altered patterns. The next book, The Power of Awareness. It is only by a change of consciousness, by actually changing your concept of yourself, that you can build more stately mansions, the manifestation of higher and higher concepts. By manifesting is meant experiencing the results of these concepts in your world. It is of vital importance to understand clearly just what consciousness is. The reason lies in the fact that consciousness is the one and only reality. It is the first and only cause, substance of the phenomena of life. Nothing has existence for man save through the consciousness he has of it. Therefore, it is to consciousness you must turn, for it is the only foundation on which the phenomena of life can be explained. Power of assumption. To create a new and greater value of yourself, you must assume that you already are what you want to be, and then live by faith in this assumption, which is not yet incarnate in the body of your life, in confidence that this new value or state of consciousness will become incarnated through your absolute fidelity to the assumption that you are that which you desire to be. Chapter 4, Desire. If you do not believe you are he, the person you want to be, then you remain as you are. Through the faithful, systematic cultivation of the feeling of the wish fulfilled, desire becomes the promise of its own fulfillment. The assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled makes the future dream a present fact. Preparing your place, all is yours. Do not go seeking for that which you are. Appropriate it, claim it, assume it. Everything depends on your concept of yourself. That which you do not claim as true of yourself cannot be realized by you. Creation is finished. Creativeness is only a deeper receptiveness for the entire contents of all time and all space, while experience in a time sequence actually coexist in an infinite and eternal now. In other words, all that you ever have been or ever will be, in fact, all that mankind ever was or ever will be, exists now. This is what is meant by creation. And the statement that creation is finished means nothing is ever to be created. It is only to be manifested. Essentials. The essential points in the successful use of the law of assumption are these. First, and above all, yearning, longing, intense, burning desire. With all your heart, you must want to be different from what you are. Intense, burning desire, combined with intention to make good, is the mainspring of action, the beginning of all successful ventures. In every great passion which achieves its objective, desire is concentrated, and intention. You must first desire, and then intend to succeed. Second, cultivate physical immobility, a physical incapacity, not unlike the state described by Keats in his Ode to a Nightingale. A drowsy numbness pains my senses as though of hemlock I had drunk. It is a state akin to sleep, but one in which you are still in control of the direction of attention. You must learn to induce this state at will, but experience has taught that it is more easily induced after a substantial meal or when you wake in the morning feeling very loath to rise. Then you are naturally disposed to enter this state. The value of physical immobility shows itself in the accumulation of mental force, which absolute stillness brings with it. It increases your power of concentration. The third and last thing to do is to experience in your imagination what you would experience in reality had you achieved your goal. You must gain it in imagination first, for imagination is the very door to the reality of that which you seek. But use imagination masterfully and not as an onlooker thinking of the end, but as a partaker thinking from the end. Imagine that you possess a quality or something you desire, which hitherto had not been yours. Surrender yourself completely to this feeling until your being is possessed by it. This state differs from reverie in this respect. It is the result of a controlled imagination and a steady, concentrated attention, whereas reverie is the result of an uncontrolled imagination, usually just a daydream. The application of these 3 points: 1, desire; 2, physical immobility; 3, the assumption of the wish already fulfilled, is the way at one-ment or union with your objective. Faith. The very reason for the law of assumption is contained in this quotation. A miracle is the name given by those who have no faith to the works of faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If there were not a deep-seated awareness that that which you hope for had substances, was possible of attainment, it would be impossible to assume the consciousness of being or having it. It is the fact that creation is finished and everything exists that stirs you to hope, and hope in turn implies expectation. And without expectation of success, it would be impossible to use consciously the law of assumption. Your faith is your fortune. Man's faith in God is measured by his confidence in himself. Can you, in the face of the army of reasons why a thing cannot be done, quietly enter an agreement with the Lord that it is done? Standing still is the deep conviction that all is well, it is done. In like manner, go to the end of that which you seek. Witness the happy end of it by consciously feeling you express and possess that which you desire to express and possess. And you, through faith, already understanding the end, will have confidence born of this knowledge. The thieves who rob you are your own false beliefs. Stop begging and claim yourself to be that which you decide to be. Ask yourself this question: how would I feel if I were free? No man can tell another the satisfaction of his desire fulfilled. It remains for each within himself to experience the feeling and joy of this automatic change of consciousness. The very moment you sincerely ask this question, how would I feel if I were free? The answer comes. Time is ever conditioned by man's conception of himself. Confidence in yourself, as determined by conditioned consciousness, always shortens the interval of time. If you are accustomed to great accomplishments, you would give yourself a much shorter interval in which to accomplish your desire than the man schooled in defeat. Sit quietly and decide what it is you would most like to express or possess. After you've decided, close your eyes. Take your attention completely away from all that would deny the realization of the thing desired. Then assume a receptive attitude of mind and play the game of supposing by imagining how you would feel if you were now to realize your desire. Begin to listen as though space were talking to you and telling you that you are now that which you desire to be. Prayer. When you pray, believe that you receive and you shall receive. Therefore, turn your back upon your problem and focus your attention upon the desired solution by already feeling yourself to be that which you desire. Continue in this belief, and you will find that your prison wall will disappear as you begin to express that which you have become conscious of being. I have seen people apparently hopelessly in debt apply this principle, and but a very short time, debts that were mountainous were removed. I have also seen those whom doctors have given up as uncurable apply this principle, and in an incredibly short time, their so-called incurable disease vanished and left no scar. Be conscious of being that which you want to appear. When man realizes that the conscious state in which he lives is the choice he has made of a mate, he will be more careful of his moods and feelings. He will not permit himself to react to suggestions of fear, lack, or any undesirable impression. Such suggestions of lack can never pass the watch of the desired mind of the mystic, for he knows that every conscious claim must, in time, be expressed as a condition of his world, of his environment. The fixing of his attention on his objective was his command to his disciplined mind to watch and remain faithful to that fixation. A formula for victory. Regardless of the physical barriers separating you from your objective, you can, without effort or help of anyone, annihilate time, space, and barriers. By treading psychologically, I mean that you can now, this moment, close your eyes, and after visualizing or imagining a place or state other than your present one, actually feel that you're now in such a place or state. First, define your objective. not the manner of obtaining it, but your objective, pure and simple. Know exactly what it is you desire so that you have a clear mental picture of it. Secondly, take your attention away from the obstacles which separate you from your objective and place your thought on the objective itself. Thirdly, close your eyes and feel that you are already in the city or state that you would capture. Remain within the psychological state until you get a conscious reaction of complete satisfaction in this victory. Then, by simply opening your eyes, return to your former conscious state. You will not be afraid of the enemy because the outcome has been determined by the psychological state that preceded the physical offensive, and all the forces of heaven and earth cannot stop the victorious fulfillment of that state.